As American troops continue fighting in Iraq, many are struggling with a different battle, right here at home. They are the soldiers who have returned from the war, some suffering from serious battlefield injuries. How are they coping with their readjustment to normal life with their families and in their communities? Are they being comforted and rewarded, or are they being overlooked and underappreciated? There was a time when soldiers returning from a war carried pride, but we found that today, coming home is not always easy.
This is on the convoy. That morning.
And this one. Stationed there.
No, this is inside the Hummer. We're going. I'm a assault gun. You see, I was in the back doing security.
Oh,
It was a machine gun, and that's like an hour before I got hurt.
Alex Pressman is 26 and a veteran of the war in Iraq. A native of Belarus, he always wanted to be in the military. As a corporal with the Marines, he volunteered to go to the battlefront even though his contract had ended. He wanted to be with friends from his unit and part of the military action.
We were going to Baghdad pick up medical supplies, and I was a assault gunner. It's like a machine gunner on the back of a Humvee doing security. And like in the middle of a convoy, we stopped for a break, and people came out, just, for a cigarette break or whatever. I came out with them and just walking down, I stepped on the landmine and just took off half of my foot, and with the shrapnel and everything, just took off chunks of my muscle, lacerated my leg here. And for my friends that picked me up, they carried me to the Humvee, and the Navy guy, the doctor, he didn't have any morphine, so whatever, he just tell me, good words, and I'm like in pain, and I wanted to lose consciousness, but it didn't happen.
Would you feel comfortable showing us your injury?
Yeah. I had a customized prosthetic.
I see that.
Yeah.
What was the first thing that came through your mind?
Just make sure I was alive, and everybody thought we were on the fire because, the explosion, we didn't know what it was. Everybody dug down, make sure, took position. We thought it was on the fire, and I started looking for my rifle, and I saw my foot.
Alex was evacuated by helicopter and then rushed to Germany. His foot was amputated a week later in the United States. While recovering, he received a special visit from President Bush. Were you surprised to see him, I'm sure?
They told me, in the secret, that he might be stopping by, and, I was really excited. It was my birthday, too. Wow. And the same day, I was awarded Purple Heart, so it was crazy. This is the Purple Heart.
Wow.
Got another copy right here.
How has your life changed since this injury has occurred?
Well, it changed. I have a prosthetic now, but, sometimes I forget. Sometimes, it wouldn't let me forget. I try to do the same thing I used to do. It's just some physical activities I can't do. I can't run yet, but, doctors say that it's going to happen soon, whatever. You get depressed because it happened, but I try not to, Life goes on, and what happened, happened.
Veterans like Alex are among the thousands who are surviving the war in Iraq. Due to the advancements of medicine and armor worn by soldiers, today only 1 in 6 injured is dying. 30 years ago, in the Vietnam War, it was twice as likely for a soldier to die from their injuries. With more survivors, additional care is necessary, but the government has been slow to provide for their increasing needs. It is grassroots organizations like John Milia's Wounded Warrior Project that are filling the gap. They're trying to help the wounded arriving from the battlefield with nothing more than the clothes on their backs. The Wounded Warrior Project has a call-in card. It's a backpack filled with basic necessities that has been delivered to over 1,200 servicemen and women in various hospitals around the country. John Milia, a Marine veteran, came up with the idea when he was injured in a helicopter crash off the coast of Somalia in 1992.
I was in a CH-46 Marine helicopter that blew up over the ocean, and unfortunately, 4 of the Marines that were with us perished, and 14 were seriously injured, and I was one that was probably moderately injured, but I wore the same thing for 4 or 5 days until I got into a hospital gown. And so from a personal perspective, I knew what I would have needed, what I would have liked to have had with me, when I first got injured. And so that's kind of how the idea of the backpack came around. In tribute to the folks that were killed with me, I feel like, every day I work in honor of them. They didn't have an opportunity to do this. They didn't have an opportunity to watch their kids grow up or to get married.
Also, Milia's project works to help veterans through the often confusing process of obtaining benefits, job training, and employment. Another important mission is to help bring family members in to see their loved ones on a timely basis.
It's been left up to the units to help the families of a service member in that unit to get to the destination hospital where the person's coming back to in the States. And some units are better than others. We've fought a lot of wars in this country, and we don't ever seem to learn from our mistakes. We seem to repeat the same problem or repeat the same mistakes over and over again. And so that's frustrating.
Debbie Lennon is the mother of serviceman Ian Lennon. He was stationed in Kuwait driving trucks for the Marines. While refueling, a spark ignited the fuel, severely burning his face and hands. He was evacuated to a burn care center in Texas, where he remained unconscious for over a month. His injuries have left him scarred for life.
Through my mind, it was like, oh my God. But I thank God he's here. He's still alive. It's, yeah. I mean, he still has surgeries to go through, but, he's still, I thank God he's alive. That he's here to aggravate me.
Yes.
But
that's my main job in life.
But
too bad I don't get paid for it.
Yeah. This is Ian's graduation. Ian, Jennifer, and a friend of his. This was the Marine picture was taken when he was in
boot camp.
Boot camp?
Yeah.
Okay, that
That's
was
my boot camp photo.
That was what year?
2000.
The year 2000.
What was the first thought when you were conscious, or that came through your head when you realized that you were burned?
I don't know. It was probably God's way of saying I don't belong there. That's the only way that he could get me out of there. So.
Would you be comfortable showing us your injury?
Sure. Let's do about here. And then same thing on this arm, and then my face, and then took skin grafting from right here and right there. So.
They also took skin grafting off his back.
Yeah.
But that's healed. I mean, that heals like right away.
BAB is a local radio station out here, and they did a fundraiser for me. That's how I got the truck and basically put everything on it. So.
Local residents are banding around veterans like Ian. They're raising money and trying to help any way they can. Some, like Chris Carney of the East End of Long Island, are inspired to do even more. After being introduced to a number of veterans by John Milia, Chris started training to ride 4,200 miles with a goal of raising $1 million for the Wounded Warrior Project.
We're going to leave August 17th from Montauk Point, and we're going through Manhattan, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, northeastern Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, my home state of Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas, Colorado, Nevada, Colorado, Utah, Nevada, California.
Chris has really latched on not only to his training, but also has latched on to the effort itself. He came to Walter Reed just a few weeks ago, about 3 weeks ago, and actually visited Ward 57, which is the famous amputee ward at Walter Reed, where most of the casualties that have suffered amputations and traumatic injuries go for orthopedic care. And I think Chris and all of the fellows that came from Soldier Ride were really deeply touched and moved by that experience.
When we were down in D.C., when we were at the hospital, it was nice to talk to a couple of the guys who had gotten in, a couple of soldiers, and one of them lived in San Francisco, and he was going to try and get himself ready. He had a leg injury, but he was going to try and get himself ready to ride maybe the last leg of the ride with me. That would definitely give me the motivation to make it there. Regardless of whether you're for the war or not, you want to help these kids because they just are doing what they're told, and they didn't ask why, or they're not asking for help. They just want to be able to support their families or go on and have a future and have a life.
Their job in their own mind is to move forward. I talk to them all the time. I talk to guys every single day, and they say, I don't want anybody having a pity party for me. I want to move on. I need to drive on. I got to move on with my life.
No, I just don't like when people try to feel bad for me. That's what I don't like.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
A lot more people got it worse than me, and I've seen the guys in the hospital who are really messed up. They're missing legs and arms, and it just, I'm alive, and life goes on, and if it doesn't break you, it makes it stronger, right?